Welcome everybody to the Red Path. My name is Brian. I'm here with Jamie. This was actually like the first time you've seen not Dara and two other people on a video with me. So this is
Yeah.
really cool for me. This is the first video I'm doing by myself, so I'm excited to be here hosting for the first time. How are you doing, Jamie?
I am wonderful, man. Thank you for inviting me on this amazing YouTube channel that you're a host of. It's great. I'm
Yeah,
I'm so honored to be here.
this is going to be the second video that we were adding to the new series called Skulltakers. Dara named it. I think that's what he chose for it. Jamie's back from an RTT, which he just absolutely went out clubbing seals, right?
Yeah, it was a bunch of school kids on a field trip, and it was like part of that whole process of, you know, teach kids how to play to get them in the hobby. So I just went there and kicked the crap out of them.
That's awesome to hear. I mean, like, this was actually a pretty significant event for you, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah, it's the first time I've gone 3-0. Um, I've got untold amount of RTTs that I've played in, several GTs, few majors. Um, Never been able to string 3 wins in a row at an event. So, oh and no, that's a lie. I did a GT. I did go like 1-3-1 in order. But as an actual event, to go undefeated in an event and win 3 games, this is the first time. So yeah,
and
I'm pretty pumped.
Jamie and I are like close to each other. We're at least close enough where I can safely say that our metas actually overlap quite a
Oh
bit.
yeah.
So I know how strong Jamie's locals are. Like there are some monsters for players out there. Some of the best players in the world, even
Yeah.
around there. So that's actually that's like a quite a large accomplishment for like where you are relative to like where I am. Just I'm familiar with some of the guys
Yeah.
out there, and you even did it with quite a unique list too, right?
Yes, it was something a little bit different. And just to briefly touch on the point you made about the local meta. Yeah, like I play in the Gem Wargaming out here in the part of Ohio I live in, and like I said, we've got some phenomenal players locally. LVO finalists, multiple GT winners, major winners, all that sort of stuff. And one of our fellas recently moved away, and he would be similar, bit better than me. Long time hardcore Astra Militarum player, Scott, great player. I've never managed to beat him, but he was always in like the top three of our RTTs, that sort of thing. He moved away and he just won a GT and he's being featured in a Goonhammer article. And he's like, oh, okay, so the game's a lot easier than I thought because that's just the caliber of players in this area. But yeah, so I did bring something a little bit different, not the typical World Eaters list. It's got the core concepts in there. It's not my kind of six predator idea or anything like that. It's nothing too outlandish. But the I'll just go through the list because the
Yeah,
last
we'll put it
last
up
few
on the
is a bit
screen for
longer than
everybody
this.
too. So,
Okay, so yeah, we've got Angron, so I'm sticking with that. We've got Invocatus, so we know we're doing some scout business. We've got the Glaive Mode,
yep.
phenomenal unit, especially right now because he's got 10 Berserkers he's going with. Then there's 2 squads of 10 Jackals. There is a single Rhino, 3x3 regular 8 bound with Lacerators on the champs, a single unit of Spawn, and the Lord of Skulls, the core
Nice.
Lord of Skulls with the Skull Hurler and the Gore Storm. So the both of them are the 3 damage
Yep.
variants.
Sounded like my list there for a second, and it went right off the
Right.
rails straight into a Lord of Skulls. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it.
So the yeah, the Lord of Skulls is obviously the point of difference here. The majority of that is going to be a common theme in, I would say, 90% of World Eater lists, certainly competitively. There's a lot of things there, but outside of the non-Gron list, right? If you're running Angron, most of that stuff in some version you're probably taking or you're certainly considering.
Correct.
Some folks might be diving into Forge Fiends right now or what have you, but
And I'm curious to get your take too. I feel like triple regular 8 bound is not that common. Typically, you'll see just a one of or two.
yeah.
I started running the 3 man. I really liked it. I saw success with it. Do you have any take stat on that? Like, how did that feel?
So that was kind of brought in as a synergy because of the Lord of Skulls. So let me start. The reason I run the Lord of Skulls is because I'm lazy. Honestly, I like the model. I think he's a solid model. Not great, not A tier, S tier, whatever you want to say, but he's just good. He creates problems for your opponent. He's got that T13. He's got a 5-up invul, decent enough shooting. It's just solid. That's all that's going for him, and he's under 500 points. The problem with him is, especially when you're running Angron, is you're sacrificing half your army essentially in two models. You've got the rest of that half is made up with your chaff, your jackals, your spawn, the action monkey type things.
Mhm.
You need the rest of your army to fulfill the roles that you would necessarily need. A World Eater's army has to be good at combat, has to be mobile. It wants to have cross synergy with the Angron rerolls, 8-bound rerolls. Everything's got to be doing 3 or 4 jobs at once most of the time.
Yep.
And when half of your army is in 2 models, everything's got to be hyper efficient. So the reason for the 8-bound, I think I started off, I was pretty consistent on running 2x3. And I think it was a game we played, one of the games where you was testing your Chaos Space Marines, Night Lords. Um, we had a conversation afterwards, was like breaking down the game. I was like, 8-bound are just great. Like they're just great. Yes, they're not quite as killy typically as Exalted 8-bound. They're not as tough as other things, whatever. They don't do the same thing that a Berserker Blob does, blah 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 blah. But they're just amazing at so many little things.
Yep.
They've got inherent scout, so you don't have to deploy them. You're not telegraphing where Invocatus is probably going to go, or what have you, right? They're independent. They can go and do some actions for you, and you don't feel bad at their price point. They can go and be a cheap trade unit. I don't feel bad if you throw up a 70-point chaff screen that needs to die for whatever reason, and the only option I've got is 8-bound. I'm probably going to do it because I've got the options for fight on death if I know the counterplay is going to be you charging them, blah blah blah. Having the 3 of them means I can use one for chaff clearance, means I can also use the second one to go and do containment on a flank. And the third one, he's just going to advance and project that aura of reroll wounds for Angron, for the Berserkers, for whatever is going to be feeding off it. Sure, I'll lose one, but there's redundancy. And I think that's the key part of running the 3. They're great at what they do. And one dies, I've got 2 more. It's just
I
like that.
I love that too. Like you said, 8-bound operate independently of Invocatus. So you are completely like a very common thing you'll see me do on streams is I'll deploy my entire army kind of balled up together in one corner, and then I'll throw just one 8-bound way over there because it can just scout up on its own, go be a reasonable enough threat. Like they can pick up a Rhino level chassis
Yeah,
by
yeah.
themselves with +1 to wound actually fairly consistently. So they're a threat that has to be respected. They're independent and they give you wound rerolls. And I want all of those things, right? But you
Yes.
can't have all of those things. And you get in this trap in your game if like you only have 1 or 2, you're like, well, I want to go kill that thing, but I want my wound rerolls. So you
Yeah.
don't go kill that thing. Well,
Yes.
the fix is just take more 8-bound is the answer.
Mhm.
So
100%.
I think that's a really I've started doing it. I think it's good. I like the 3x3. Unfortunately, that means you sacrifice for me like your deep strike ingressing
Yeah.
play, which I do miss, but
Well,
I can live
I've got
without it. But
thoughts on that.
I know you do something spicy. So you've
So
done it to
just
me and it worked. So yeah, how about we start talking about Big Daddy himself too?
yeah. So yeah, Lord of Skulls being the unique part that probably, if anyone's unfamiliar with any of this list, is going to be the Lord of Skulls. So the reason for him is, like I mentioned earlier, he's under 500 points. If I'm going against a shooting opponent or an opponent that can most likely kill him in one round of shooting, your Tau, potentially some Votan builds and things like that, he's going in strategic reserve. He's just going in the warp. Everything else can benefit from obscuring or whatever I need to. He's going there. Then he's almost certainly getting rapid ingress in as soon as possible. I will wait till round 3. And this goes into how the list plays, like we sort of mentioned earlier. It's not a typical World Eaters list. It's not 800% aggression from turn one. Especially in that matchup, in the shooting matchup, he comes in ingressed, and he causes a problem in an area which allows the rest of your army, which hopefully I've staged and hidden. So now my opponent, now he can try and deal with the Lord of Skulls, except he's in a position where maybe only half of his army can get line of sight, probably won't kill him. Waste all that shooting. Here comes Angron. Here comes all those 8-bound. Here comes the Berserkers. Now you're swarmed, and yes, you'll kill a bunch of that stuff, but here comes the Lord of Skulls. You're weak. He's got 2 guns. He's going to pick up a couple of squads. He's now going to charge you. It's a pain in the ass. It's just such a problem. And that's just, I'm not saying it's an automatic win or anything, but that's the strategy behind it.
Yep.
Because if you go into a combat army, he's an even bigger problem. T13, 24 wounds, 3 up, 5 up, 6 up, feel no pain, probably. And just do quick head math, Brian. Outside of Angron, what threats in your list are going to reliably pick him up in combat?
Angron, I don't think even reliably picks him up. I've swung with Angron on a Lord of Skulls several times, and I think I actually did it to you earlier this year, and it only barely maths out without stacking buffs. So like the only way I'd ever feel comfortable taking him on is if I had 6 Exalted 8-bound with rerolls and max buffs.
Yeah, just
if I don't have that, and that's just World Eaters, right? This is like we're probably one of the better armies for dealing with threats that size. Blood Angels probably with 10 power fists lance lethal, but then you pop -1 damage and that ship sails. Like, and then the Khorne Lord of Skulls will pick them all up on the clapback. So
Imperial Knights are probably with the Lancer and Canis Rex are, in the games I've played, are the only army that can reliably pick him up in combat, outside of a roll spike or it being something like Angron, of which the Lancer and Canis Rex are really the only things I've found that are comparable to running combat.
I'm sure the Khorne Lord of Skulls actually really loves the heroic intervention change as well, because you can throw.
He can't heroic.
Oh,
because he's a vehicle, not a walker. It's only vehicles that, like dreadnoughts, basically, can heroic.
Can he can't 1 CP heroic intervention?
No, the heroic. Yeah, I wish he could, but the heroic intervention strat says infant or models. If it's a vehicle, it must have the walker keyword.
Okay, forgive me here, guys. I've never played a Lord of Skulls on the tabletop, so that actually hasn't come up for me. So
yeah, I probably cheated that. I just happened to read it before the RTT when I was just fine tuning.
The Red Path special, guys.
Absolutely.
So how about we start talking through some of your games? Yeah, I know you had, I think you said 3 very punchy games. So how'd they go? Let's start with game 1. Who was it up against?
So game 1 was against a gentleman named Greg, who is in our Discord. He goes by Groog in our Discord. Now, Greg and I have a wonderful combat relationship. Greg plays Blood Angels, plays World Eaters, probably plays a couple other armies. And I'm just going to say this about Greg. So you're going to meet the occasional person in your life. You may know some already. You may have met them in the past. You may meet them in the future. They are those individuals which are going to frustrate you because they are going to make you feel like the NPC in their story. They are like, he's just one of those genuine good guys. Like, not just like someone like me who pretends to be a good guy or whatever, but I'm really an asshole or whatever. He's actually a good guy. Like, he's a phenomenal painter, great player, just always got good things to say. It's fucking infuriating is what it is. But
how dare he?
I know you can't be like anyway. But yeah, Greg's an amazing dude. This was either our 4th or 5th game. I'm not sure. I think he's beaten me 3 times. He says he's only beaten me twice. So whatever. We played at the last RTT. I challenged him to round 1 and World Eaters versus World Eaters, and he beat me. I was like, shit. This RTT comes along. I didn't challenge anyone. I'd got hardly any sleep the night before. Work had been crazy, etc., etc. So I was like, whatever, however the cards fall, however the dice roll goes, right? And I just so happened to get paired into Greg again, and he's rocking World Eaters again. I'm like, let's go. Um, I had been preparing because I thought this RTT was missions A, B, and C from the Pariah Nexus. I've done a few practice games. I played against Dom, played against my buddy Josh, probably a couple other games I played with people, just sort of grinding A, B, and C, like a couple of games on each mission. Turns out it was missions D, E, and F. So all that practice was, yeah, well, luckily D was tipping point. So let me just briefly go over Greg's list because it is I won't say a standard World Eaters list, but here we go. So Angron, Khorne, Invocatus, Glaive Mo, 10 Jackals, 10 Berserkers, 5 Berserkers, 1 Rhino, two 3-man 8 bounds, a 6-man Exalted, a 3-man Exalted, and Spawn. So it's much more standard, closer to what you're seeing, or what you're expecting. We're playing Tipping Point, which for anyone is it's Hammer and Anvil, but
But
it's got the kind of
Tetris Hammer Anvil, right?
yes, Tetris Hammer. There you go. As A, B, and C are all Tipping Point, I was very, very practiced on playing on Tipping Point, regardless of the primary mission. Mo and his berserkers sit there on the corner in the middle, right?
Yep.
That's where Mo lives. That's his home. There's typically some kind of terrain there, or at least blocking shooting.
Yeah.
He's going to get Invocata scouted, so failing that, he's got somewhere to scout to safe. That's his house. He starts there. Greg deploys. He does deploy his Mo and 10 Berserkers in a Rhino. Thank you. I think that's what helped me magnificently here. I deploy pretty aggressively. Everything's ready to go. Greg gets first turn. I'm like, okay, it's not the end of the world. I still we do our blessings and stuff. I think I didn't get fight on death. I didn't get the right roll for it, but I got, feel no pain and +2 move. Doesn't really matter. No,
Sure.
Sustained and feel no pain.
Sustained feel no pain.
Because I knew the combat was coming. He scouts aggressively. Mo goes up into the corner of a central piece of terrain, just like a couple of inches from the central objective, or whatever. Because I think it was one where it splits off in 2 diagonals. Doesn't matter. Everything else doesn't. Nothing else in this match matters except my Mo and his 10 Berserkers. Greg advances and charges everything else. He gets his 6-man Exalted. He makes a charge into just the Lord of Skulls. However, because he didn't want to tag Angron as well, because he knew he wouldn't kill both with just the 6-man, but he could probably kill one, or certainly try and kill one. He gets into the Lord of Skulls. He makes several other charges into like Jackals and my Rhino and stuff. Nothing else really mattered. The Lord of Skulls was the big one. However, his charge wasn't long enough, so he couldn't get all the way in and be outside of 6 inches of the Master of Executions.
Oh,
and
no.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So that really it's not game at that point. 1 CP heroic, go in. Because of how my models were laid out, I couldn't get everyone in, but the Mo got in, the 2 Eviscerators got in, and let's say 5 or 6 of the regular boys got in. 5 Exalted are gone. Champion lives, puts 2 damage on the Lord of Skulls, and then he just picks him up because he knows the Lord of Skulls is picking him up right after. Essentially, after that, Mo and the boys just wander off and have the time of their lives. It's like there's just some 80s rock playing in the background because everything that comes into them, they're going to kill. The only threat he had against them, because of no real shooting outside of bolt pistols, grenades, that sort of thing, is his Mo squad. However, that combat doesn't work in his favor because I think I had 8 bound and my Rhino kind of screening in a way because I knew his Rhino was there. Greg, correct me in the comments because I'm old and my brain doesn't work with memories. But when he tried to charge in his turn to score, like bring it down or something in my Rhino, he didn't get a charge long enough with his Mo squad, and I could heroic into it. And I think I only got like the Mo and 2 Berserkers, more than enough to take out his Mo and eliminate the only threat on the table. And that was either the top of round 3 or the bottom of round 2 when that happened. At that point, like Greg offered me his hand. We did play out the game, but
The World Leader
Yeah,
Mirror matchup is actually a very fun matchup, and it's a very stressful one.
yeah.
For what you would say, oh, it's just melee mash, throw in the middle. It's not easy. It feels like
No.
you're playing chess.
Oh yeah,
Even
yeah,
if Angron's reviving, honestly, that can impact it, but it has little to do with how like a game
yeah.
will go. And it's really like those small things that matter. Just one CP probably swung that whole game, which
Absolutely.
heroic intervention is like it's finally great to have a stratagem that feels as good as Overwatch and Melee.
Yes.
You still get your +1 strength and attacks,
Yep.
guys. It is super good, super
Mhm.
strong, and that's cool to see that. Because did you have a Rhino in your list?
Yes, I had one rhino.
So
Yeah,
you intentionally did set Mo up to be able to have a
yeah.
heroic intervention. So that was
Rhino.
cool because you kind of had like a little bit of a bait going there where you can put the Lord of Skulls up and say, "Hey, come get him,"
Yeah,
and then have Mo playing guard. So you don't
yep.
have to play back. And that's also something for a lot of players too. Like Jamie says that sometimes he puts his Lord of Skulls in reserves. Like reason why you kept it on the board is I'm assuming you're
I
playing a very
want his
aggressive
charge.
matchup. You have to have him there, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, number one, like we said, just his pure toughness is hard to deal with, but it's a prime target for the six exalted eight bound or Angron. Either one of those making the charge, because of the way I positioned, I knew there was a very strong, not 100%, a very strong chance they would be in heroic range because of how I positioned them and how I deployed. Because I knew that was in the high region of likelihood. He either lets the Lord of Skulls live, in which case he trundles out, deletes a couple of units with his guns, charges something, deletes another unit, tank. The Lord of Skulls has to die in that combat matchup. He has to. He is not necessarily winning the game, but he is allowing the rest of my army to win the game for me.
He kind of says, I am a problem that has to be answered, and you only have two answers to this problem, both of which you're trying to, it's like trying to get them to play their card early. So
Yeah.
it's the psychological warfare in those melee matchups is how you win those matchups. It's psyching your opponent out. It's getting them to do exactly what you want them to do on your terms.
Yeah.
So, and you did that perfectly. So,
It did, yeah. It was a great game, and like I said, great. Greg's an awesome dude. I love playing against him, but did win. Not but I won the game 100 to 44, and we was done in less than 90 minutes. Like it was super quick, which it always is going to be.
that's nice
But
for a game one because that means you get a nice
yes,
long lunch.
yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, for me, it's break because we do our lunches after round two right now. But
Oh, okay.
I like a good break in between games. I like to decompress. So I mean, that takes me into game two.
All right.
You want me to talk about it? Should we just end the video here? I don't know.
Yeah. Nice old cliffhanger.
Yeah, right. So we go into round two. I'm feeling good. I got 100 points. It's always nice. Like it was a great game, great opponent, and I got the 100 points. Everything went right. Parents drop, and I get Robert, another local gem player, really good player, and he's running Chaos Demons. And Robert and I have played. This is the third time we've played. Robert's one of those guys who has the brain bandwidth, which I don't understand, like a lot of you guys do, or a lot of folks do, to handle more than one army. But he handles more than one army very well, and he knows his rule, like knows the rules bet like really well. Um, I played his Eldar a few months ago. I played against his Necrons last month, I think, and he brought Chaos Demons this time. Um,
That army probably rewards the biggest brains the most too. So
yeah, it's an army that has to be played well. And so here's his list. It's a Khorne heavy list. So this was also great. We're getting more blood. So it did have the Bloodmaster, a Bloodthirster with Argath, the King of Blades, of course, the Great Uncle with the Endless Gift for Feel No Pain, Rendmaster, Scarbrand, and Skulltaker. So already we've got, a lot
Ren.
of points on some tough guys here. Two squads of 10 Bloodletters, three squads of Nurglings, squad of Plague Bearers, as you have to, 3x5 Fleshhounds, and two Seekers, the Slanesh Chariots. So one of my close buddies, Josh, he's an avid Demons player. Probably one after Don, he's who I play against most. So I have a good amount of reps into Demons, so I'm fairly familiar with the army, the stratagems, the tricks. unlikely to get gotcha'd by. Not that that's going to happen, but I
De
know what's coming.
Demons are an army where if you make a mistake, they can capitalize instantly and make you hurt for it. So,
Yeah, they have a lot of really cool stuff they can do. And a list like this with the Thirster, Scarbrand, the Renmaster, a lot of Khorne units, even the dogs, when they have that Renmaster pointing at the target, those little dogs are like doing some damage. They're really good. Anyway, so this game, I'm going to tell you the score because it was 110 to me.
ooh,
Yeah. Now this is not reflective of Rob as a player. Like he is a great player. I think what happened was after round one, there was a little mini me of me just living in his head, yelling and screaming at him. I think I just got in there because essentially what happened is I got turn one in this. This was mission E, regular hammer and anvil. Can't remember the other bits because they don't matter. Um, I got turn one. I threw Angron straight up. He deployed very defensively, like near the back. Had his Bloodthirster Scarbrand. Basically, most of his Khorne was in deep strike because there's a nice little stack where they all drop in 6 inches, 6 inches,
yep.
point, charge, blah blah blah. He deployed fairly defensively, except for one Seeker, which was going to be his turn one action monkey if he needed to area deny, blah blah blah. Right. I had enough information because so much was in deep strike. I saw most of his deployment. I was like, all right, Angron's going for that Seeker. Like, I don't care. He hasn't got the resources on the table right now to counter and kill Angron. I'll just get a free model. I'm ready to survive the clapback, hopefully. And then Angron, just goes running around picking up all his scoring units while the rest of my army does what they've done. And that's what happened. Angron went into the Seeker, kicked it 3 tables over. He didn't have anything on there. Like the Great Unclean One was the only unit that could put any damage out. A Great Unclean One is there to slap fire Angron
If
for
it
the
gets
game.
exceptionally lucky, it could maybe take
Yeah,
him below half.
yeah. But what happens in that matchup, because it's happened several times, Angron and the 4-up Feel No Pain Unclean One, they're just 5 rounds of punching each other. Great Unclean One keeps healing, saves preposterous amounts of damage. It's 280 points to stop Angron doing anything else or whatever it is with
And
enhancement.
this is like I know we have a lot of demons players in the Discord. I dabble in demons too. Dara's a demons player. This is like a good lesson for you guys too. I actually had almost exactly what you're explaining as a scenario happen, where a demon player took all their red demons and put them in reserves because they're going to bring them down for the wombo combo and get me on turn two. Well, I got turn one and just full set, and I was like, I'll just table you twice, like,
Right.
and your red demons get to watch, and they can't do anything about it. Which
Yep.
the lesson is same thing with that Khorne Lord of Skulls, is if you are playing against a very aggressive army like Space Wolves, World Eaters, Orcs, keep some threats on the board to be able to punish your opponent for playing for overextending. Like it
Yes.
sounds like you just completely overextended and you're like, what are you gonna do about it?
Yep.
Nothing? Okay, I'm just gonna keep going forward. Like mash
Yep.
W, right?
Yep.
Literally letting you mash W.
Yep. That
So
that was it. Like everything in my army, either I got maybe one other charge off in turn one just because of how defensive he was and it being hammer and anvil. But the Lord of Skulls went up to the halfway point. Everything was staged, and I used both my Jackal units, my Rhino and my Spawn, to completely saturate my backfield because I didn't need those guys to go and do combat.
yeah, they
I
do
need
nothing
them.
to Great Unclean Ones and Bloodthirsters. Like
No,
Jackals are just
they're nothing. They're just free no prisoners points for him. So they completely screened out my deployment zone for the 3 inch deep strike, not for the 9 inch. I knew the one weakness you have against demons sometimes, and it's not as bad in Pariah, but is if they get a couple of those deep strikes in your backfield and they come in, they take your home objective, which for like linchpin matters and stuff like that. I could afford to commit 200, 250 points because Angron was going to have a free round one. Lord of Skulls was going to be staged for a free round two, and everything else. So what 25% of my army sits back, does nothing. Everything else is mash and W. And that's what happened. And once in his round in his turn one, he couldn't do anything because everything's in deep strike. He tried a couple charges, like his dice just completely ignored him, and Khorne was like, "Lol, Jamie, go for it," and just kill everything in response. Round two, he does bring in his red guys, the Khorne guys, and failed a couple of critical, like a 5 inch and a 7 inch charge and stuff. And that was the handshake moment. We did play on. I was like, come on, man, we play a couple more rounds because if this happens, this happens. Angron dies, doesn't come back, blah blah blah. Even then, it didn't happen. He couldn't score. I had him on the back line, like 6 inches
And,
from his table edge. That was all I allowed him.
and
So
once you take that first half of his army and he's left with just the big red demons, those are what he has to hit with. Those can't
yeah,
be standing on
they're
objectives
not
doing nothing.
scoring.
Yeah, I've in my demons game, the dude was sitting there considering using Scarbrand to go like do what is it, the blow up a terrain action, sabotage it, and like
Sabotage,
yeah,
yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like, yeah, you go over there and you go blow up that ruin. That's fine. You go
Mhm.
do that.
Have 6 points. I'll just take 500 points of your army away.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, that one, it was a brutal game, and like I said, Rob's a great player. Like he's a great player. He was correcting me on rules. I'm pretty good with the core rules and stuff. I'm like, we all make mistakes, but like he's like the guy that says, you can't do that because of this. And like, oh yeah, sorry, I'm just being a dumbass. I'm not cheating. I'm just being a dumbass because you forget things.
Team Red
Um,
Path special right there again.
exactly. Like
Another
that's
one.
yeah. We cheat, but we hide it behind stupidity. It's.
We cheat ourselves too, so it evens out.
Oh God, yeah.
I thought Exalted 8 Pound had the champion had 4 attacks for the longest time on the Twin Chain Fist. I
Oh,
think
on
I
the
went like
twins.
4 events cheating
Yeah,
myself on 2 attacks.
yeah. It's 5 up to 6, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just totally wasn't rolling extra dice for.
I did do the reverse for a while with the lacerators on the regular 8 bound, like thinking they had 6 instead of 5 or 5 instead of.
Oh, okay. So you
So I'm
the
that
unforgivable
cheat.
version.
Yeah, yeah. I am the bad cheat. You're the good
Well,
cheat.
I was still like commend you. Like I being able to identify specifically in like Grey Knights and Demons and Hypercrypt, those can be very challenging matchups for players that don't know exactly what's going on, just because those armies can pull out bullshit and just go
Yeah,
anywhere they want. So like still commend you. Like it may have felt like he made a critical mistake and then you just ran away with it, but no, like that's props to you for having the game knowledge to say, I need to
right.
screen here, I need to stage like this, I can be only this aggressive but not too aggressive, right? Because I
Yeah,
need to be able to keep some stuff behind. Like there's a lot of like hidden tech there, guys. Like feel free
yeah.
to pester him. Like if you're having issues with the Demons Grey Knights Hypercrypt matchup, Jamie literally showed you kind of like the 1, 2, 3 how to deal with that as world leaders. So
Weirdly, Hammer and Anvil being like probably our weakest map historically, for that matchup, for the janky uppy downy 3 inch teleport, it's better for us
I've
because
I kind of agree.
oh okay, I thought you
So
was about to
like no,
throw
because
water on me.
I've never really thought about it because I've had the hypercrypt matchups and I've been like, well, the games that it's felt the easiest has been when I get to do it at my own pace and just kind of set up the screens and
Yeah,
again make them play the game how you want them to play the game.
yeah. The way I look at it is for that matchup is the board isn't 60 by 44. It's 44 by 40 or whatever it is. Their deployment zone doesn't exist. You turn it into a square and you saturate your own deployment zone to deny them any kind of bullshit, and then you play in the middle.
And
You,
they have to come to you if they want to score. That's like the biggest brain twist of World Eaters is that like World Eaters played competitively is actually a very defensive army.
yeah,
You put your opponent between a rock and a hard place, and they either get to choose killing you and not scoring or scoring and dying.
yeah,
And neither of those is a good choice.
right.
So, I mean,
So
good
yeah,
game too. I mean, you did
yeah.
exactly what you needed to capitalize. So let's go to game three. Now we're going
So game
into
three.
how are you feeling going into your 2-0, going into your 3-0 right
So
now?
there's been several RTTs where I've gone 2-0. First couple games, it's like that's fine. You at that point, sure it's an RTT, but it doesn't matter. You're a GT and you've gone 3-0 on the first day. It's in your head now. I'm there. I'm on the cusp. The podium is in sight. Like I can be him today. And so that's how I'm feeling. But like typically at the gym RTTs, everyone goes to lunch. There's a little bar restaurant 2 doors down called Tickets. We'll go over there. It's got like a Greek theme, which I don't understand for that part of the world, but I love me some Mediterranean food. So I got me a Greek hot plate for lunch. It was great. Had me some feta cheese and some doner meat and stuff. And we're all sitting around talking. And Austin was TOing for us, and I was sitting at his table, and we was all bullshitting, talking memes and everything. And then I'm sitting there, and a gentleman who you played against recently, Sean from Gem. You played his Chaos Knights on stream, actually. What, 2, 3 weeks ago?
Yep.
Yeah. Because he's part of our Gem circuit. He's on the next table over, and he starts asking me questions. And he's like, sort of like saying stuff, and I'm like answering, like, yeah, my army does this. Like, I didn't realize they'd paired us. That normally they're assholes and wait till the last minute to pair us. And I'm almost, come on, man, pair the game, pair the game. Let me do my sort of like anxiety stuff during lunch so I can lose the game in my head before it starts. They never do, but this time they did. Austin just went ahead and just stealth paired everyone. So Sean's like asking me, and then it clicks. I'm like, did the pairings go up? And they're like, yeah, we're, for fuck's sake. So anyway, so we go into it. Like, I'm like, man, let me finish my plate. We'll go start early. Like, let's get going. So we're sitting there and we're like, he's running Blood Angels. I'm running World Eaters. I tell him my stuff. He tells me his stuff, and I haven't played against Blood Angels in 10th edition. Like, it was probably,
They,
I want
they
to say, the LVO 2 years ago, last time I played Blood Angels. It's been a
yeah, they
long
kind of
time.
came out of 10th edition like a dark horse. They
Yeah,
didn't really like they were doing poorly at the start of 10th edition. You weren't seeing them that much, and then just one data slate, and they go from being unheard of to
solid, like
the
good.
terrifying.
Yeah. Um, Terrifying. But for us, fortunately, um, manageable. It's still a very tough game because they're like us in many ways, fast, heavy hitting, but like you mentioned it at the start of the video, we have a stratagem that is -1 damage, and that is the bane of a Blood Angel, at least this Blood Angel's army. I imagine I'm going to read it to you. You're going to know a lot more than me, and you can tell me how close this is to what the meta list is. Because
Sure.
I'm honest, you and Dara
I mean,
know a lot more about this.
the
I'm not.
meta
So
Blood Angels, I'm not super familiar with. I know it's just gonna have 30 to 40 like flavors of Death
yeah,
Company and Jump Pack Intercessors.
yep, yeah. So you could probably tell me the list, but
The only saucy part is if he has ball predators or not.
no predators.
Yep,
It's
so
pure
it's
infantry. Well, not
pure
pure infantry,
the
but
Jump Pack guys. And
yeah.
yep,
We got
make
a captain with a power fist, 2 chaplains on foot, a generic chaplain with jump pack, Lamartes, and the Sanguinor. Sanguinor, when his ability was explained to me, was like, shit, this is the counter to the Mo. Like, this is
that's
strong.
just yeah, every time you yeah, I'll get to it when we
Like,
get to it, but there
well,
is so much pain that
he
comes from that
told
model.
me about the Sanguinor's ability whilst I'm eating. And then he went in to go set up the table and stuff while I'm finishing and paying. And in my head, I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? And I solved the Sanguine. I was like, okay, all I have to do in this game is make sure Mr. Mo has got a couple of bodies either side of him. So he cannot be fought by, like how you screwed me with like tagging the Mo and stuff when we played on TTS. How you would stop my fight for how you would stop the Mo getting into his preferred target by tagging him with something cheap. So I'm like doing reversing that. Sanguinor's going to jump down and fight first against me in my fight phase. Well, as long as I've got 2 berserkers on either side of the Mo, he can't precision Mo.
Yes, he can.
Oh yeah, he can't he? Luckily, that didn't happen. But
Okay, okay. I
again,
thought we had a
no,
disaster here. He just has
no,
to have
yeah, okay,
you
right.
just
It's another unit you have to have.
yeah, you just have to
Yeah,
have line of sight. So you
yeah,
can position the Mo in a way so that if he comes down, he has nowhere to land. You
yes,
can mess with terrain. so that he
Yeah.
can't see the Mo, that's how you would get around that.
Yeah.
But that
But
is way harder to do than it is to, you'll
right.
hurt your brain trying to figure that out.
So luckily that isn't how I solved it, because then I was like, okay, so we've got that, but he's obviously got other assets. Fight on Death, he told me about. It's like, how am I going to deal with
Okay.
that as well? So I'm like, okay, we're going to play Blob. Like, it's going to be a big cluster of units. Everything's going up together, and whatever he's got is not going to have preferred targets. Like, we're going to screen our combat with jackals and things. I'm just thinking of everything I can do to keep my assets safe versus him. So, all right. So, yeah, that aside, here's the rest of the list. Those are just the characters.
Okay.
We've got the 5-man assault intercessors, an impulsor and a rhino. Then we've got assault intercessors, 5-man with jump packs, 5-man death company, 5-man death company on foot, 10-man with jump packs, death company with all inferno pistols, 10-man death company with jump packs,
Yep.
infiltrator squad, scout squad. So yeah, there's 30 death company, another 10, 15 jump pack guys, and a bunch of other little assets, a Calidus assassin,
Yep. So
scout squad.
I would say
So
this is probably what you're going to see your standard WTC. Like, this is just the Blood Angels WTC, just template.
right. Um, I can't remember actually who went first in this one, but my handy dandy app will tell me. My phone just went asleep though. So if we look at that, I went first. Okay. So this was Mission F, which was Burden of Trust and whatever the other thing
Is
is.
is Lord of Skulls on the board or off the board?
He's on the board.
On the
He's on
board.
the board. So it's Hammer and Anvil again. It's Burden of Trust, which I can't honestly remember what it does. And it's Hidden Supplies. This is the one where the central objective.
Burden, you probably never did. I'm gonna guess neither of you ever did. That's the one where you have to guard an objective, so you're just like extra actions everywhere,
Well,
which in
no,
this matchup is not very.
we
You want
did
all
do
your
it.
pieces doing all the things.
We did kind of do it because it's not an action. It's just something
Oh
if an
yeah.
yeah, but we had to call the TO over to clarify because the wording is so bad on it. It's just an annoying. When this rule is in play, it's annoying. It's not fun.
You can see me playing on stream for my GT as well, and I think my opponent and I take like 10 minutes to just breathe and vent about how awful that was to get through to
Yes.
read it,
Yeah.
only to do it like
So
twice.
yeah. Right. It impacted like some of the score, but so that was his list. That was the mission. I went first. Lord of Skulls was on the everything was on the table. I may have thrown. I think I threw Spawn into Strat Reserve just because I didn't need them as a trade piece, because of the game plan I was going to use. They was going to be some point scoring for behind enemy lines. Blah blah blah. So if I remember right, um, I was went first, but I was very cagey. I had nothing that I needed to kill or that was available to kill turn one. I either didn't choose advance and charge, or it was going to be useless because everything was, behind terrain. Angron wasn't getting nowhere. I didn't need to because I knew the fights would come. I knew that the Mo squad would be critical. I knew that the Lord of Skulls and Angron would also be critical, and I knew ultimately it was those 3 units, which is how the list functions anyway. But it was those 3 units which needed to perform, and I needed to protect them. So I would provide them with, jackal screens, rhinos would movement block, and so on and so forth. So those 3 essentially got in positions where they would be able to control my triangle because the central objective split. The way the primary would work, we would both basically hold our little triangles, max out primary. It would come down to who got the better draw on secondary cards, or who could kill the other person quicker to steamroll away for the rest of the game. And that's essentially what happened. Went first, no combat round one. He came out, I came out, he came out. So then I had to come out a little bit more. I think I made a couple little shit charges, like I threw Angron into his impulsor.
That matchup, when played by two good players, actually is a very long game. It felt like everything you're describing is my first experience of Blood Angels 2.
Yes.
You're both just scared of each other,
Yeah.
and you will end the game with zero trash on the board on either side. Like both of
Right.
you are going to just
Yes.
slowly commit until just the dam breaks loose on the side.
It's very much like a spaghetti western. It's Clint Eastwood versus Clint Eastwood, quite frankly, and the camera just keeps zooming in to the eye, like, and it's like every round is another zoom in. And so yeah, we're staging out. I did throw Angron up in round two, maybe round three, to kill an impulsor, um, because I needed to prevent some of his protection and that, and I knew Angron was going to die to, or at least suffer to 10 jump pack death company, which were like 13 inches away. I knew it was going to happen, but my plan was to do fight on death and just hope for a decent trade. Essentially, the theme of the game was Angron did that. Um, I believe he fought on death, or I got an interrupt, or I can't remember, but he traded. Or the combat sequence ended up being a net trade for us. I lost Angron. That's it. Angron died, but I interrupted or something with the Lord of Skulls. Lord of Skulls killed like 2 units, and he'd killed a couple of units in the previous turn.
Oh no.
And here is the final reason why the Lord of Skulls is my Lord and Savior. Lord of Skulls survives. It's the end of Sean's turn. We're going to round three now, I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering it right. I roll my blood dice. In my head, I'm like, the odds of getting Angron back are super high because I've got 4 dice I can plus one, 2 jackals and a berserker unit with icons. So I've got 3 rerolls and 3 or 4 plus ones. Pretty good odds here. And I didn't need it. Natural triple six. Angron straight back. Straight back. Oh,
So
it
good.
feels good to be
And
a
I
dad.
know
It
I
feels
feel
good.
bad for Sean because I did it to him too. I did it so
He said
dirty.
that. He said that. He's like, no. But kudos to the guy because he's a champ. He was like, all right, 1, 2, 3, and we both yelled blood for the blood god. He yelled it with me because he plays World Eaters as well on the side. So he did have to take a little 2 minute walk away break because you could see it in his eyes. He's like, that moment of anger on coming back, it can be a deal breaker for your opponent.
I just
And I get it. I hate that
I
man.
honestly it's probably the strongest the mechanic has been of the two iterations,
Mm.
but it definitely feels the worst.
Because if you don't get him back, you're sad because you didn't get your cool rule. But if he does come back, your opponent's like, Jesus, I just spent a round to kill this model, and immediately he's coming back.
Yep.
Like,
It's almost just game over at that point. In a lot of
very
games, like
often,
the game just ends. And I think
yes.
like counterplay to Lord of Skulls play too is like you kind of gotta ignore Angron in that matchup
And kill the Lord of
until the
Skulls.
Lord of Skulls is kill
Yep.
it, kill it dead. It
Yep.
can't modify dice if it's dead, even if it's already killed
Exactly.
stuff. If you just that is what the Lord of Skulls player wants you to do. They want you
Mhm.
looking at Angron, eyeing him up, and going after him. Like that is
Because it's
your
free
dream.
real
It's your dream.
estate.
It's free real
Yeah.
estate. You're
Yeah.
like, sure, yeah. This because I mean,
Yep.
you're like twice as likely in a Lord of Skulls list to bring Angron back than
Oh, yeah.
not. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
then
Because
one
now
of
you've
those.
got a
It's just
whatever, you're not looking at a set of 1 in 6 rolls, you're looking at sets of 1 in 3 rolls.
and
Because a
especially
five and a six
when you've
is,
racked up 4 kills
yeah.
too with one Lord of Skulls, that's not common. That's just
Yeah.
you. I don't know. You
It's pretty brutal. So yeah, Sean took a minute, um, and went and talked, and I could kind of hear him in the distance, and like he was like, he immediately came back. He died in it, and he's not like not
I
tilt. Well, no, he's tilted. He's not pissed. He's tilted, and I
yeah, that
get it. I
I
get
feel
it.
I've done it to the gem guys. Your specific little meta over there so many times, and I've felt so bad. I did it to Conan too, where
Okay.
he killed him on stream, and Angron was like, "Oh, nope, I'm back." He killed him at the end of his battle round. Go to the top of the next battle round. Less than 30 seconds later, he's back on the
Oh,
board making the
yeah,
8-inch charge, and I'm just like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, bud. That did it
yeah,
to Sean too." Like, it
yeah.
feels awful sometimes.
It is.
Then if you are the Angron player give your opponent the 2 minutes. Like it is perfectly
Oh,
reasonable for
absolutely.
them to
Yeah. It's
go be
yeah. You
introspective for a little bit. It is fine.
But so he rocks back to the table, and either at that point, I don't want to say it was that point, he's like, good game, man, gives him his hand. And I'm like, no, 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 no. This is a hard denial. I like Greg and Rob's games when it was probable I was going to win. Like the game's not over till the game's over, but sometimes when you're 1,000 points up models wise, you've got the board state where you want it. You're probably winning, right? You're probably winning. This was no, yes, Angron had come back, but we had traded blow for blow.
Yeah.
Yes, I was probably now like 400 points flush of him because of Angron coming back. But Angron's not on the board. He hasn't made his charge yet.
And he can fail that
Like
charge.
he could
Like
fail that
there,
charge.
and he's not coming back for another turn if you want to
Yeah.
ingress him, which
He
is a
still
thing. But
had a full squad of 10 Death Company and at least several like ones and twos with the chaplain. So there was still
dude,
like
they
damage
still
to be
hit like a
dealt.
truck. They train up into
Yes.
8 pound. Like
Yep.
a Blood Angels 5-man jump intercessor squad will just kill 3 8 pound.
Yes.
Easy.
Oh, yes, they do. And they did. Like that was he would just throw these little units around and like pick up my 8 bound. The amount of melter shots was like he did kill the Lord of Skulls eventually. It did take him a lot. Like I did
It,
roll
it, it,
good,
I,
but
yeah,
it's like
Sean's a great
that's a
opponent. He
lot.
tried to do the same thing to me too, and I was like, no,
Yeah,
we're playing the rest of our
yeah.
rounds. Like it's just like you
So
never know because World Eaters are such a spiky army. Like you
yes,
can have
exactly.
turns go so poorly. Like when we
Mhm.
played, I know we did a recap on that. I had a turn where I was about to slam the door in your face, and then like I
Yes.
failed 4 charges, and you made saves, and I was like, wow, I did nothing on
Yeah.
this turn, and we had a
And
game
yeah,
again. So like that can happen.
sometimes your chain axe will turn into a wet fish, and that's it. And that's a dice game. So I was like, look, man, let's just play out the rest of this round. Then we'll look at what the cards come up for us both, and we'll see. But let's carry on. We got an hour and a half left in the round. So we did, right? And by the end of round three, maybe after my first turn of round four, I'm like, I can lose this. Like, not I'll be unlucky to lose. Like this game is now 50. This is a 50-50. Like this is gonna take a combination of skill and luck for the winner. Like whoever wins is gonna absolutely deserve it, but it's gonna be based on making the right decisions at the right time and the dice to go slightly above average because you at some point you need that
Right.
little X factor, right? Um, and there was the final essential play of the game was I believe that was when the Lord of Skulls was killed, or sorry, wasn't killed. He finally got his last 10-man death company, and he had like all those little remnant squads. They had surrounded the Mo squad. They'd done some shooting and dropped him down to like 5 models or something. The Lord of Skulls, who was on like 8 wounds left or something like that. And then I think there was some 8 bound sitting that like one 8 bound guy, something like that. And it was essentially the last stand. Both armies, it was round 10 in Rocky Four. Before we go, have you seen Rocky Four, Brian?
Are you gonna be mad at me? I know I'm American, but I've I've seen Rocky 3.
I mean, that's better than Dara. Dara hasn't seen Rocky Four, so it's quite disappointing that you two haven't seen Rocky Four. I'm gonna buy you both a VHS of Rocky Four, not a stream,
Make it
not a
inconvenient.
DVD. You're gonna have to go on Wikipedia to look up how to watch a goddamn VHS.
Hey,
Because
hey, hey, I'm still a 90s kid. I used VHS
okay,
back then.
all right, okay. Well, then you've got no excuse for not seeing Rocky Four. Anyway, it's round 10 of Rocky Four. It's like Ivan Drago has finally learnt respect for Rocky. Rocky's like, it's the last round. Someone's going down, and who's it going to be? It's obviously going. Typically it'd be the American, but not today. No, the Lord of Skulls tanked everything. Um, I believe it was he did go down to like 1 wound, but then I can't remember if a CP rerolled or feel no pain or something, but he lived, and that was when I saw the light in Sean's eyes go out. That was it. And at that point, I was like, yeah, yeah. Because he's now sweeping, picking up 5 or 6 Marines easily, probably a character in there. Mo and the boys are going to get to finish off the Death Company. he'll have like a rhino and one scout model, where I've got enough fast stuff to go, and whatever secondaries come up now is good. Um, so at that point, like we did do the final necessary dice rolls, we pulled the cards, blah blah blah. But the game ended at 78 to 64 in my favor. And we did go, well, I mean, it was a long game for us, or for me at least. It was a full 2 hour game, which if I have a game that's 2 hours, I'm like, man, I ain't got time for this. I don't know how I used to play Warhammer games for 3 or 4 hours, because my
Yeah,
brain capacity can't handle that now.
and I
Two
mean,
hours is long.
this is a matchup probably that does feel the most like Rocky, where you're just
Yeah.
it starts with light taps and it escalates very quickly.
And you're
Um,
just both standing there uppercutting each other over and over. And but it was, for me, it was a great game. I know, again, and this was a theme of, it's a good thing for the competitive side of the World Eaters playstyle slash army impact. If your round one goes to plan, regardless of going first or second, you suddenly live rent free in your opponent's head, because they know what is about to hit them. Whether you've got the turn one alpha strike, or whether they can look at your army, realize they can't touch any of it, but turn two, it's going to come and do
it's yeah.
what
When
it
you set
does.
up like I've a lot of turns where the only thing I show them is a chaos spawn in the middle objective, and
Yep,
I'm just running up in buildings, and I'm like, even in those melee matchups, I'm like, I'm an inch away from the wall. You're not
yep,
touching these guys. Like,
yep.
I'm coming
And
for you next turn. Like
yeah,
that's
what are you going to do? And I was, all three of these matchups were combat armies: World Eaters, Chaos Demons, Blood Angels. Blood Angels had melter pistols, but they were 6 inches, so it was still combat, right? Um, they were all relatively fast, like either equal speed, or like Demons have speed in their deep strike shenanigans. It's a different kind of speed. So it was three very balanced matchups, but I brought the cheat code. I feel like I got lucky in each of these three matchups, which were dedicated combat matchups. I brought something which was a problem for all three opponents in the Lord of Skulls. He has decent shooting, which is occasionally oppressive shooting if Angron happens to be close
yeah.
enough.
You roll that 12 on the 2d6, and whatever's there's gone.
Yes. Yeah. Like that strength 14 -3, or
Three
-4,
damage.
and
It's
three
like
damage. Yeah.
yeah. You like you
It's a great gun because it's high damage, high AP, and
and it can just pick a
three
baby
damage.
knight up pretty
Yeah,
reasonably often.
yes. Like I've played against Don, and Don runs Death Guard, and it's all very tanky stuff. It one shotted a PVC, like with just that gun.
Shit. Yeah.
Like that, yes, that
It,
was a spike, but it's within the realm of possibility. Yeah, I rolled like 11 shots, re-rolled with
but
Angron.
it doesn't rely on it. It's kind of like a play. It
Yeah,
forces your opponent to either respect it or
it's the
accept the casino.
psychological. Yes,
Yep.
that's exactly it. And then the other gun's a bit more consistent but lower strength. So I'm reliably picking up 3 or 4 Marines, or like finishing a squad. And that's what I want it to do. I want it to weaken your threats, so I can use Jackals to go in and finish it off, rather than committing Berserkers
And,
or 8 bound.
and
Or I can use 8 bound rather than using Angron.
that's also very, very useful in the Blood Angels matchup too, where you're scared of that fight on death. So finding ways to kill those
Yep,
Marines without making it to the combat phase is
yep.
very useful.
Yeah, and like it allows like the kills for the modifier for Angron. Tank shock is still very good on the Lord of Skulls at T13. -1 damage
I
against
want
Blood Angels.
I want to crunch the math too. Like even with just having the 4 kills that you had with the needing fives, like you were definitely north of a 50% chance to get anger on back
Oh
that turn,
yes,
but
yes,
easily north. Like you
yeah.
were gonna roll statistically like 2.5 fives, and
Mhm.
then you were gonna re-roll three of those dice. Like he's
Yeah,
coming back statistically.
yes. It's impressive, and like I said, it has its weaknesses. A different matchup path. If I'd faced Tau 3 times, I'd probably be 1-2 or 0-3.
And,
But I didn't. Sometimes it happens.
and
Luckily, all my opponents were good players. Like it wasn't seal clubbing. It was good players, and I felt I played the better game, and that's not because I'm a better player than them. I think because I've consistently been World Eaters close combat. They play other armies which dabble in combat, but I think it's just, again, not that I'm a better player or a great player or anything, but if you do one thing a lot for a long time, you will get pretty good at doing that one thing. And then when someone
And
else who's good across the board tries to meet you on the same level, you finally have the upper hand.
And
And I
in
think that's what
those
it
in
boils
those
down to.
melee matchups, it's the small things that matter. It's the
Yes.
small little details, and we
Hmm.
are trained to look for those details because as world leader players, we like demons can capitalize a mistake pretty easily. World leader players have to scan for the mistake. You're going to analyze your opponent's whole army, find the hole in it, and just crack it wide open.
Yes.
And you did that exactly. And I think like you're also very comfortable with Lord of Skull's play style. You know
Mhm.
exactly when to throw him into reserves. You know exactly where to throw him up the board. You know how to bait with him, which is really cool to see being
Yeah.
done. Like usually people want to play conservative with him because they're too scared of losing him too early. No, you're like, come get him.
Yeah.
-1 damage sounds like MVP, and like
In the Blood Angels,
to
yes.
emphasize what we were saying earlier, like the Lord of Skulls still is a good model, but it makes you
Yeah.
play the game differently. It will
It is.
polarize your game. Like you will play a matchup against triple hammerhead railgun Tau. They're gonna put them all in reserves, and they're gonna make you question why you even play vehicles, right? Like vehicles are just bad. Why would I ever play them? And then you'll run into matchups like this where Blood Angels and Custodes, like the Lord of Skulls, is fantastic into Custodes. You would sit there and you'd be like, wow, he can't do anything about this. This is like the best thing ever. Why am I not playing three of them, right? So it's a very easy rabbit hole to go down. And it's not like you're throwing by bringing Lord of Skulls, but it feels like you're almost playing on a different axis.
Yeah,
And you
it
have to
is.
play on that axis or you will make a mistake. World Leaders are already a challenging army to play.
Mhm.
And if you try to play like traditional World Leaders with the Lord of Skulls,
Yeah, you can't. You
you
have
can't.
to like that. Depending on whether he's in reserve or not, your strategy, you have to be able to look at your opponent's army and determine what strategy you're going to play and know how the Lord of Skulls factors into that with all those assets, positives and negatives it has. And it will be the make or break for the game in how you use the Lord of Skulls, because his role or its role is going to be very specific in how you play Angron. Because are you sacrificing Angron for that early trade to give you 100 points, knowing that probably Angron's coming back, so it's a wash, right? Or and then when you do that, if you're playing Angron in that way, then the rest of your army is okay. I now have to make sure the rest of my army is playing in such a way they're not getting rerolls for a couple of turns. So their lethality is reduced. So I have to make sure I control the engagements on my terms, which means I have to do my measurements correctly to make sure the jump pack guys can't get to me, but the foot guys can this turn. Like you have it becomes a chess match in that you've got to think 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 moves ahead, but once you, it becomes like a feeling more than a science, right? I think actually I was trying to troll you a little bit in Discord when I said like playing Exalted 8 bound or playing lots of 8 bound is a science, right? You
Yeah.
crack that code, but like someone like yourself, how just watching you play, it's like you just know. Like it's like a diagram. You've already played this game 100 times in your head or in real life. This goes here, that goes there. The odds are this happens, good game, right? Lord of Skulls is like an art form, man. You got to feel it in your heart. It's I don't know. I can't say I
If
recommend it. Like for someone who's trying to play competitively. But if you're someone like me who's been around the block a little while, and sometimes you got to try and spice it up a little bit, man, it can feel good.
and I don't even think like I don't want to like shame it. Like it's still a very good
Yeah.
style to play. It has one GTs. Like the Lord of Skulls has gone 5-0. You need to get a little luckier with dodging stuff,
Yes.
but those armies that you're trying to dodge aren't super common. So like you
Mhm.
can just have it work out where I don't know if you can go 5 games in a row of only melee, but he can still hold his own. Like I've played a Lord of Skulls in the past where he died to one D cannon shooting at him from
Yeah,
indirect turn one, and I've been like,
yeah,
well, just
yeah. There's the game plan gone.
yep,
Yeah,
and that feels bad. And that was enough to make me say I'm putting it back on the shelf because I was like, this again, the Lord of Skulls will do that for you, where it'll either be the best thing ever or the worst thing, and you just want to throw it away.
yeah.
And it's a very, very fun and rewarding model to get good at using because it is like an art. You can just throw it away and
Hmm.
feel dumb, or you can weaponize murder and have this Thomas the Tank Engine unkillable death machine that's
Yeah.
just willing your Primarch back into existence, and you will revive Angron twice in a game, and
Hmm.
it is
It feels good.
statistically likely to do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's there's I could go on a long ass soliloquy about the Lord of Skulls. I think he's a fun unit. If you want to play casual games, if you want to try something different competitively, if you just you're like me and you don't really understand how things work, and sometimes mash W it's fun. But yes, I think you have to combine the the kind of fortunate path that I had with an incredible amount of skill to have a chance at the 5-0, 6-0, really. So if I was looking to win a GT, I'm not running the Lord of Skulls. I don't have that. I would delve more into more traditional stuff. It's me, I'm never going to play the list or that. There's always going to be a predator or something in there stupid, right? But if I was seriously trying, I would be very close to a more optimized list. But my God, the Lord of Skulls is a lot of fun, and I can't tell you
I,
that
I
enough.
almost think we should trade jerseys. I don't know, like the little nicknames we have on the back. Mine's actually
Yeah,
the Lord of Skulls,
and mine's Gorefather, so
and
yeah.
I
Yeah.
have played a Lord of Skulls once,
I
and
just think the only thing, Brian, we've stood next to each other. I got to think I've got a couple of extra X's on my shirt size compared to yours.
I
So
think it'd be
you can
funny.
make a 10 out of mine probably.
I look like I'm wearing a onesie or something. It's fine. I'm a very small person, by the way, guys.
Oh,
Um,
I was just saying, I'm a big fella. I mean, there's no shame in my gut size.
well,
But
speaking of upcoming GTs, and like you playing the Lord of Skulls at a GT, what events do you have coming up that you're thinking of doing?
well, I am committed to the Gem GT in November, I think, right?
November 7th, I think rings a bell because I'm also going to be
Yes.
committed to that one, and
Yeah.
I'm going to pray to the blood god that Jamie and I get paired round one and upset.
No, we're gonna get paired round five.
Round
I'm
five on
kind of picked.
stream.
Yes.
I because we're both going to be 0 and 4, and we're just going to go harass John running tabletop live, and it's going to be the most unhinged game you guys will ever
Yeah,
watch.
because
You
we'll
won't
have
even
to make
think
sure
we're
we're drunk by
teammates.
that point. Yeah.
It'll be just complete nonsense. We'll be shit faced.
Yeah.
We'll be screaming at each other, cheating, lots of cheating, maybe
Oh,
intentionally, probably intentionally.
probably. I would think we would just explain at the start of the game before the line of shots is like we're not playing to win. We're playing to see who can get away with the most egregious cheat in this game. Oh yeah, but
But
that's I've got that lined up. I'm definitely I'm already paid up. I just got to book the hotel and stuff. Other than that, it's probably honestly just RTTs for me as they come. Next year, however, the hope is don't want to say too much, but we've had some discussions, haven't we? The, the,
yeah,
the four of us have
I
had a
think
little chat.
that means we're dropping a little bit. Well, you'll see maybe more than two Red Path
Yeah,
members.
there might be more than two of us on the same continent at the same time at some point. Um, but yeah, that's something I'm planning for. Um, Trying to get like this year's just been going to be a wash. It's just going to be a low event year for me, unfortunately. Nature of the job. Next year, I think I'll be in a position, however, to I'd say get at least half a dozen GTs and majors in.
And
More than that, I can't commit to. I can't be like
see,
you, man, with 4 GTs in a month.
oh yeah, spoiling that ahead. Yeah, for me, I'm in a bit of a rut right now. I got nothing to do. But come a month and a half, I think I'm going weekend back to back to back majors and then WCW right off the end of that. I mean, Jamie, honestly, next year I'm probably gonna drag you to Canada with me and we can go harvest some
I
golden tickets
Yeah,
together.
that's
Um,
that's what I'm looking at. I think that would be a good one. Canada's where I'm kind of looking at.
yeah,
Um,
I don't know why. Like, there's been one golden ticket event in the state of Michigan, but the GT I went to in Canada gave out three, and it was a 50-person event. And they have those events like every other weekend. Like, it just rains golden tickets up there, guys.
oh my God.
Yeah, yeah, it's I had the choice of going north because there was Rocky Top Rumble, which was a golden ticket event in Tennessee, and I had the choice of going south to go fight more of your meta or
Right.
going north where I could go make my own meta. So I went north.
I don't blame you. But yeah, that's something like we kind of talked about that already. I'd like to try and do that because yeah, Canada's a hop, skip, and a jump away for me as well. Um, Relatively easy flights, if not
I
a
think
long drive.
Adepticon or some of the more Midwest GTs we can get
Yeah,
thrown on the menu. We're gonna get
I think
more multi-member content going
yes.
there. So
Next year, I like as long as I plan ahead in time, like some of the Michigan GTs you have over there. As long as I know the dates, I'll schedule and like meet you over there and stuff. So yeah, we'll be able to do some stuff next year. But right now, I've got I missed out on the Arch City GT, which is this weekend or next weekend.
it's coming
I
up
think
here.
it's
I think
yeah,
I
it's
looked
beginning
at
of
it and I was like,
August.
I'm still a little tired. I was like, off the
Yeah,
Battle for the Capital. That was a
yeah.
rough one on me. But
But yeah,
I
like
mean,
uh,
you'll see
yeah,
us
but
more.
that's it.
Keep your eyes out,
That's
guys. Come say hi to us in person because we're starting to travel around a lot. Dara's running his own GT.
mhm.
Um, say hi. If you see me at WCW, you can come say hi. If you're in the Atlanta area, I'll be down there. But for the most part, I'm traveling all over the Midwest now.
Yeah,
And I think we can go ahead and close it out here.
yeah.
Make sure like and subscribe. We have a Patreon if you want to talk to us directly. Dara and I usually just banter back and forth, insult each other, say unhinged things, share really bad lists, like even I'm guilty of, and then just tear each other apart. Occasionally, Jamie will come in and make fun of us, call us both dumb. It's great. Great time. So feel free to do that too. We got some extra stuff coming out too for our patrons, so keep an eye out for that. We want to treat you guys right. Other than that, my name's
Other
Brian.
than that, Brian, you've got to take us out and
Yeah,
push it away.
my name's Brian. This here's Jamie. Stay healthy, stay safe, guys, and kill, maim, burn.